Hi, I'm Eden Radvani, Associate Director as part of the Data and AI Modernization team here at Coastal. I'm also the Analytics Product Owner, so that makes me responsible for CRM Analytics, Tableau, and more recently, Tableau Next. If you're not familiar with Tableau Next, think of it as a combination of the best elements of CRM Analytics, Tableau, with the additions of Agentforce for an agentic experience, and all built on top of the structure that's provided to us by Data Cloud. Today, I'm going to share a demo walking through some of the features of the tool. So let me go ahead and share my screen. And we'll actually see end-to-end what that looks like coming from the data source all the way through to an agentic experience. So I've landed us within Data Cloud, the Data Cloud app on our data streams page, just to show the source of our data. We have a number of objects coming through from Salesforce CRM, but we also have direct access, zero copy to our Snowflake table, with a usage platinum table that we're pulling through. This will be important as we show the semantic layer, which actually also lives within Data Cloud, and the two various models that we've developed here. I'm going to focus on our billing usage model, which comes from that Snowflake source, but I'll also show parts of the Sales Cloud build as well. So if I jump over to a semantic model, what you'll actually see here is just one table that we pulled through, but I really want to break down kind of what we have access to here. So as I select a table, I'm able to see a row-level version of that data. It's zero copy, so this is instant. Any changes in the source will actually reflect into here as well. And what I also see on the left-hand side are a few different options. So at the top, the metrics that we've defined. So these will be the KPIs that we want to trend over time based on this data source. For those of you familiar with Tableau Cloud, Tableau Pulse metrics were groundbreaking and a very powerful tool right now. These will be authored within your semantic model and accessible within the CRM, which is going to be hugely powerful for customers moving forward with this tool. We'll talk about those pulse metrics just in a second. We have the ability to use parameters. So for those of you familiar with CRM analytics, the static step, and in Tableau, the name parameter as well, but a table separate from the data source that can be used to interact with the data to make changes. If I want to switch the value of a measure from installed kilowatts to revenue, for example, I could use this. And then below that, we are able to see all of our various tables. I have another semantic model with the CRM data that's showing those connections between objects if we have that set up. But right now, what we're just looking at is a single table and all of the fields that live within it. Now, what I think will be particularly powerful, especially from the data analyst side of things, will be the ability to create calculated fields on top of this. And that's not anything that's new to this platform. But historically, if you were creating calculated fields for analytics, you would have to go through, define the field type and the data type, a descriptive name, description for the field, and some API-based information as well. Now, with Einstein and AI, we have the ability to prompt in natural language to actually build out our calculations and all of this backend information. So if I drop in a prompt here to calculate the difference between two of my metrics, installed kilowatts and peak usage, if I click draft with Einstein in just a few seconds without having to use API names or specific field names, I'm able to generate all of the information that I need for my calculated field. I have a name that's descriptive that I can go in and edit if I wish to. I have a description, I have the aggregation type, and I can actually see the code behind that calculation as well. I'm able to validate that. I can make any changes if I need to as well. But moreover, once this is ready, without any input from myself, if I don't need it, I can save from here and ultimately begin to use this calculation. Now I'll drop right down here. I'll see the lineage. I can see the calculation and the description. So very quick, time to insight again, and making our lives a bit more efficient. We jump over to the visualization side of things now. What you're seeing here is a Tableau Next dashboard. And I do want to preface that I don't consider Tableau Next to be a visualization tool. I think it's more than that, and we'll see that with the Agentforce capabilities in just a second. But if we're looking at this dashboard, we have our typical filters across the top, KPIs as well, and then some visuals that we can build on. The key thing about these KPIs is that these are actually pulse metrics. And even though I've turned off the visual element of these, you have the ability to explore these in more detail in a separate tab. Not only will that prompt Agentforce to help you with your exploration, but this will give you a view that's very similar to those of you that have seen Tableau Cloud, where you can see how your measure is trending over time, the comparison to the prior period, within it, whether or not it's within the expected bounds, and you can break it down by key dimensions that you've defined. I can close that out. I can filter as well if I would like to, but I can close that out and I'm returned to my dashboard where I see that at the top level. Now, In Tableau Cloud, this was lived on a separate page. This wasn't interactive with the rest of the data. But here, if I go through and actually make a selection within my dashboard, I use the faceting capabilities that are out of the box of CRMA and Tableau Next. I'm able to not only filter my visualizations, but also my pulse metrics as well. And I can see how those change based on the selection that I make in the dashboard, which I think is particularly powerful. The key thing that I want to highlight about Tableau Next is really going to be this agentic experience. So we know that dashboards have a great purpose, and they've been the way that people have looked at metrics and reports for a long time, but they don't answer every question. And while this might give me a top-level understanding of the data, being able to ask questions of my data is going to be very powerful, whether I'm an analyst, whether I'm in C-suite, or even at the management level. So I'm going to ask a simple prompt here. I have this information here that's showing 5 accounts and how their revenues trended over data. But if I want to focus on the breakdown of revenue across 3 of them, I can ask a natural language question like, what is the breakdown of revenue across Apple, Amazon, and NVIDIA? And what it's going to do is going to take the natural language elements of my question. So breakdown isn't a function in the CRM or in analytics, but it's going to recognize what I'm asking for there. It pictures that revenue is one of my metrics, so it should be able to make that link. And even though I haven't specified that I'm talking about account names, Apple, Amazon, and NVIDIA exist as account names here. And in my semantic level as well, you also see those in the row level data. So it'll take just a second to run through. It's going to understand why I'm asking it and look at my semantic model before it gives me an intelligent output. But what this should do is enable me to ask a more pointed question about my data. And you can see it didn't take too long, but I was able to get high-level values for each of those accounts that I've asked. I'm also getting a short description of what that information is telling me, that NVIDIA is leading with the highest revenue. And I can see the sources. I can see that the revenue metric is what was used to give me this information and how that was calculated. But moreover, I'm given recommendations for further analysis. So if this is the initial question that I got as a manager or as an individual working under a team, and I want to further my exploration, the system will provide me some insights that can help me further that exploration. So that's super powerful. I think that's going to be a big value add. There's a lot of functionality that we can have there. The other piece of this is that Tableau Next is within Salesforce, right? It has those benefits of CRM analytics that Tableau doesn't natively have. And one of the functionalities that we gain from that is the ability to embed these dashboards and visuals into record pages. So if I go to one of those specific accounts, Apple, for example, where I have CRM data for it lives in the CRM, but I also have enterprise level data, I can embed different visualizations from Tableau Next and even pulse metrics onto the record page so that they dynamically show value for that record. But because Apple is a unique case where it exists in my enterprise data warehouse and in my CRM, I'm showing these visuals. If I'm looking at another account that actually isn't in my enterprise level, it's solely in the CRM, I can contextually switch the visuals that I want to display for that account. I can look at different metrics and different visuals, and that will be completely driven in the backend by Salesforce functionality. It's all out-of-the-box functions that we can use around Tableau Next. So with that, that's really what I wanted to show today. I think this is a really big value add. It's where the platform is going. Combination of CRMA, Tableau, Agentforce, and Data Cloud. I'm Eden Radvani from Coastal, and I hope you enjoyed this demo.